ceremonial blade pressed against my throat drew a single drop of blood. I didn't move. Couldn't move. The Genkara honor guard had me pinned against the crystal wall of the throne chamber, and protocol dictated that any sudden movement meant death. But I wasn't looking at the guard. I was looking past his armored shoulder at her. She stood 3 meters away, hands clasped behind her back, watching me with eyes the color of amber caught in starlight. Junior diplomat Kessa Vihorn of the Terran Diplomatic Corps. We'd arrived on the same transport 6 hours ago. I'd seen her in the briefing room, noted her presence with professional detachment, then watched that detachment crumble when she'd turned to ask me about atmospheric composition protocols, and smiled. That smile had cost me everything. Guardian Jace Revan, the Queen's translator intoned, her voice echoing through the vast chamber. You have violated the sacred space of the throne. Explain yourself before judgment is rendered. The demarcation that separated supplicants from royalty. I'd done it without thinking, without remembering, 18 months of cultural training, because Kessa had stumbled and I'd moved to catch her. Instinct. Stupid, fatal instinct. The Queen sat motionless on her throne of living crystal, a being of impossible grace and ancient power. Her 4 eyes tracked every micro-expression on my face. The Genkara read emotions like humans read text. They saw everything, felt everything, and lies before their queen meant execution for everyone in your delegation. I moved without thinking, Your Radiance, I said, keeping my voice steady despite the blade at my throat. The diplomat lost her balance. I reacted. The Queen's primary eyes narrowed. Her secondary eyes, the ones that saw truth beneath truth, fixed on Kessa. The chamber fell silent except for the harmonic hum of the crystal walls responding to the Queen's presence. Then the Queen smiled. It wasn't a human smile. The Genkara didn't smile like we did. This was a subtle curve of her lipless mouth, a softening around those 4 terrible eyes, and a sound like wind chimes in her throat. The honor guard froze. Every Genkara in the chamber stilled. Release him, the Queen said in perfect unaccented English. The blade withdrew. I stumbled forward, hand going to my bleeding throat, and Kessa was there, steadying me with a grip on my elbow that sent electricity up my arm. You feel it already, the Queen said, still smiling. The binding. The resonance. She leaned forward on her throne, and I realized with growing horror that she wasn't talking about diplomatic protocols. How long did you know her before you crossed sacred ground for her safety? 6 hours, Your Radiance, I whispered. 6 hours. The Queen's laugh was like crystal breaking in slow motion. And you would have died for her, humans and your instantaneous bonds. Your reckless, beautiful attachments. She stood, and the entire court prostrated themselves. Kessa and I remained standing because we'd been briefed that foreign dignitaries did not bow. Do you know why I summoned your delegation here, Guardian Revan? The treaty negotiations, Your Radiance? No. Each footfall resonated through the crystal floor. I summoned you because humanity has something my people lost 3,000 years ago. You fall in love at first sight, you bond across impossible distances, you choose each other in heartbeats and defend those choices unto death. She stopped before me, towering, terrible, magnificent. My daughter is dying. The chamber seemed to contract. Kessa's hand tightened on my arm. The princess requires a matched resonance transplant, the Queen continued, a donor whose emotional signature can synchronize with hers at the quantum level. We have tested every Genkara in the Empire, 17 billion souls.
She looked at Kessa, then back at me. All failed.
Our bonds formed slowly over decades. They lacked the intensity required for cellular matching. I understood before she said it. The horror bloomed in my chest. Humans bond instantly, the Queen said. Your emotions burn white-hot and true. If a human could bond with my daughter, could feel for her what you feel for your diplomat after 6 hours, she let the sentence hang. You want to test if we can save her, Kessa said, her voice sharp with understanding. You brought us here to see if human emotional bonds are compatible with Genkara biology. I brought 50 delegations, the Queen corrected, over the past year. All failures, but you, she gestured to me, to the blood still trickling down my neck, to the silver line I'd crossed without hesitation. You are the first to demonstrate true binding speed in my presence, the first to prove the legends of human love are not exaggerations. A door opened behind the throne. A smaller figure entered, supported by 2 attendants. the princess. She moved like water running uphill, fighting gravity with every step. Her skin had lost its luster. Her 4 eyes were dim. She looked at me, and I saw death looking back. "If you can bond with her," the queen said quietly, "if you can feel for my daughter even a fraction of what you feel for your diplomat, the resonance might save her life. The transplant requires emotional synchronization at the molecular level. Logic will not suffice. Duty will not suffice. Only love." I felt her pulse racing against my palm. "And if I can't?" I asked. The queen's smile faded. "Then she dies. And humanity's gift remains only legend." She paused. "You have 1 hour to decide. The procedure requires willing participants. I will not compel you." She looked at Kessa. "Either of you." The princess reached the bottom of the throne steps and sat carefully on the lowest one. She looked young. Impossibly young. And dying. "Why me?" I asked. "Why not test everyone?" "'Cause I saw you fall," the queen said simply, "and I saw her catch you, though she barely knew your name. Because in that moment I saw what my people have forgotten, what my daughter needs to survive." She turned away. 1 hour. Choose wisely." The court emptied at her gesture, flowing out through side doors like water draining from a basin. In seconds, only 4 of us remained: the queen, the princess, Kessa, and me. The princess looked up at me with dying eyes and said in a voice like wind through grass, "You don't have to do this. I don't want to take anything from you." But I was already looking at Kessa, seeing the question in her amber eyes. We'd known each other for 6 hours. 6 hours, and I'd already crossed sacred ground for her. Already bled for her. The princess needed someone who could love like that. Love instantly. Recklessly. Completely. I just didn't know if I could love 2 people at once, or if trying would destroy everything. The queen watched us with ancient eyes and waited for an answer that would determine the fate of empires. The princess's name was Irikej. She told me while sitting on the throne steps, her attendants dismissed, her mother watching from across the chamber. Kessa stood beside me, still holding my hand, her grip tight enough to hurt. "It means hope in twilight," Irikej said. "My mother named me during the war with the Kresh. I was born in a shelter while our capital burned." She smiled weakly. "Dramatic timing runs in the family." I knelt so we were eye level, divinatingly set in a translucent quality, like looking at someone through frosted glass. "How long have you been sick?" The cellular degradation started slowly. Now, she gestured at herself. "Now I have weeks, maybe days." She looked at Kessa. "I won't ask him to love me if his heart already belongs to you." "We met 6 hours ago," Kessa said, but her voice was gentle. "I don't own his heart. Don't you?" Irikesh's secondary eyes focused on our joined hands. The Genkara see emotional bonds as colors, wavelengths of light only we perceive. Right now the 2 of you are burning ultraviolet, the color of new bonds forming at impossible speeds. She looked at me. "If you try to bond with me, you'll have to dim that light. Redirect it. Love me instead of her, at least for the duration of the transplant."
"How long?" I asked.
72 hours. Sustained emotional resonance while the cellular transfer completes. You would need to remain in my presence, focused entirely on me, feeling genuine affection. She paused. "It cannot be forced. The quantum signatures detect deception. You would need to actually care, or my body will reject the transplant and kill us both." I looked at her, saw the conflict written across her face. We'd known each other for 6 hours, but those hours felt like years. The connection was real, immediate, terrifying in its intensity. "Can I speak with Jace alone?" Kessa asked. The queen inclined her head. She took Irikesh's arm, helping her daughter stand, and they withdrew to the far side of the chamber, disappearing behind a crystal partition that shimmered with privacy protocols. Kessa turned to face me fully. "You don't have to do this. She's dying. But you don't owe her your heart." Kessa's eyes searched mine. "And now you're being asked to redirect everything you feel towards someone else for 3 days. That's not fair to you. Or to me. Or, honestly, to her. If I don't, she dies. People die, Jace." Her voice was harsh, but I heard the fear underneath. "You can't save everyone. You especially can't save everyone by forcing yourself to fall in love on command." "It's not on command. The queen said it has to be genuine." "Exactly." Kessa stepped closer. which means for 3 days you have to genuinely love a dying alien princess more than you love me. And then what? After 72 hours, you just switch back? Resonate whatever this is between us? She gestured at the space between our bodies. Does it even work like that? I didn't have an answer. The truth was, I didn't know if I could love Yurikesh. Didn't know if the connection Kessa and I had was unique or if I was just someone who fell fast and hard for everyone. Maybe I was exactly what the Queen needed. Or maybe I was a disaster waiting to happen. What if you can't do it? Kessa pressed. What if you spend 72 hours trying to bond with her and fail? Then she dies anyway, and you've wasted 3 days we could have spent together. And if I don't try, I'll spend the rest of my life knowing I could have saved her and chose not to because I was selfish. It's survival. But Kessa's conviction wavered. I saw it in her eyes. She was thinking about Yurikesh, sitting on those steps, translucent and dying, asking for nothing. I have to try, I said quietly. You know I do. When she opened them again, they were wet. I know. She pulled her hand from mine and the loss felt like amputation. I know you do. It's one of the things She stopped. Laughed bitterly. 6 hours. I don't get to say that word yet, do I? Kessa, go. She stepped back. Try to save her. I'll be here when it's over, if you still want me to be. Of course I will. You say that now, but you don't know what 3 days of forced bonding will do to you. To us. She wrapped her arms around herself. Just promise me something. Promise me that if you realize you can't do it, you'll stop. Don't kill yourself trying to manufacture feelings that aren't there. I promise. She nodded, turned away before I could see if she was crying. I watched her walk toward the chamber's main doors, each step increasing the distance between us, and felt the bond we'd formed stretching like a rubber band pulled too far. The Queen and Yurikesh emerged from behind the partition. The Queen's expression was unreadable. Yurikesh looked resigned. You've decided, the Queen stated. Not a question. I'll try, I said. I can't promise success, but I'll try. You don't have to... I surprised myself with how true it was. Looking at her, really looking, I saw someone fighting for every breath. Someone who'd been named Hope in Twilight and was now living in permanent darkness. Someone who deserved a chance. Maybe I couldn't love her the way I was falling for Kessa, but maybe I could care enough to try. The Queen nodded. The medical chambers are prepared. We begin immediately. She paused. Guardian Revan, I will not lie to you. The procedure is dangerous. If the bond fails to form, the cellular rejection will be catastrophic for both of you. You could die alongside my daughter. I understand. Do you? The Queen's 4 eyes fixed on me with terrible intensity. Or are you a young human drunk on your own capacity for instant attachment, believing love conquers all? She moved closer. I have lived 3,000 years. I have seen love fail more often than it succeeds. I have watched bonds shatter and civilizations crumble. If you enter that chamber unprepared, you will not emerge. Then prepare me, I said. The Queen studied me for a long moment. Then she smiled again, that alien expression that meant something deeper than happiness. You truly are remarkable. Your diplomat chose well, even if she doesn't get to keep you. The procedure is only 72 hours. The bonding is forever, Yurikesh said softly. If we succeed, your quantum signature will be permanently linked to mine. You'll feel my emotions for the rest of your life. When I'm happy, you'll know. When I'm afraid, you'll know. And I'll feel yours. She looked toward the doors where Kessa had vanished, including what you feel for her. My stomach dropped. The Queen didn't mention that. Because I suspected you wouldn't agree if you knew, the Queen said simply. But deception undermines consent, and consent is required for true bonding. So yes, Guardian Revan. If you save my daughter's life, you'll be connected to her forever. Another person's emotions in your head for as long as you both live. Most humans would find that intolerable. Really thought about it, feeling Yurikesh's fear, her joy, her pain, for decades to come, knowing she'd feel mine, including everything I felt for Kessa. Will it hurt her? I asked, feeling what I feel for someone else. The Djenkara don't experience jealousy the way humans do. Your love for Kessa won't wound me. It will simply exist, a permanent reminder that you saved my life while loving someone else. She smiled sadly. I'll live with that, gratefully. And Kessa? How will she feel, knowing I'm permanently linked to you? That, the Queen said, is between you and your diplomat. but I suspect she is stronger than you fear. Humans often are. I took a breath, made the decision. Let's begin. The Queen's expression shifted to something like respect. Follow me. She led us through corridors of living crystal that pulsed with bioluminescent light. Yurikesh walked between us, leaning heavily on her mother's arm. I noticed details I'd missed before. The way her breathing labored, the tremor in her hands, the fact that her secondary eyes kept closing as if she couldn't maintain the energy to keep them open. She was dying faster than anyone had admitted. We reached a circular chamber where medical equipment hummed with quiet purpose. A crystalline bed dominated the center, surrounded by monitoring devices that looked organic and technological simultaneously. Attendants in white robes waited silently. You'll lie beside each other, the Queen explained. The cellular transfer happens through skin contact and emotional synchronization. The equipment monitors the quantum bonding in real time. If the signatures begin to diverge, we intervene before fatal rejection occurs. With previous candidates, always. No human has maintained bonding resonance for more than 6 hours. The Queen helped Yurikesh onto the bed. You'll need to sustain it for 72. I climbed onto the bed beside Yurikesh. Up close, I could see the network of failing cells beneath her skin, dark patches spreading like bruises. She turned her head to look at me, and I saw fear in her eyes. Real, terrible fear. I'm scared, she whispered. And just like that, something shifted in my chest. Not the explosive connection I'd felt with Kessa, but something quieter, something steady. I reached out and took her hand. Me too, I admitted. Her fingers were cold. I could feel her pulse, rapid and irregular. A dying person's heartbeat. The attendants attached monitoring devices to both of us. Crystal filaments that sank painlessly into our skin, creating a web of connections between our bodies. The equipment hummed to life. The Queen stood at the foot of the bed. Once the transfer begins, you cannot leave. Cannot break contact, cannot allow your emotional focus to waver. If you doubt, if you hesitate, the bond will fracture and you will both die. Do you understand? Yes, I said. Then we begin. Guardian Revan, the Queen's voice softened. Thank you. Whatever happens, thank you for trying. The equipment surged. Energy flowed through the crystal filaments, and I felt Yurikesh's presence flood into my mind like water breaking through a dam. Fear, pain, exhaustion, loneliness. 3 years of dying alone. The years of watching her mother's hope crumble. 3 years of knowing she'd been named for survival and was failing to live up to it. I gasped under the weight of it. The attendants moved forward, but I held up a hand. Focused. Let myself feel what she felt. Let it matter. And beneath the fear, I found something else. Curiosity. Humor. A fierce desire to live that hadn't died despite everything. Yurikesh wasn't giving up. She was terrified, but she was fighting. I could work with that. I squeezed her hand and thought about hope. About twilight giving way to dawn. About the smile she'd given me when I'd agreed to try. And slowly, carefully, I let myself care about whether she lived or died. The bond began to form. Fragile. Uncertain, but real. The Queen watched the monitors, and for the first time since I'd met her, she looked like a mother instead of a monarch. 72 hours. I could do this. I had to. Hour 16, and I was drowning. Yurikesh's pain had become my pain. Her fear was my fear. The cellular transfer had begun in earnest, and every minute brought new agony as her dying cells tried to accept what my body offered. The bond required me to feel it all with her, to not shut it out, to stay present in her suffering. I wanted to scream. Instead, I told her stories. When I was 7, I said, my voice hoarse from talking for hours, I fell off a cliff while hiking with my father. 20-meter drop into a river. Everyone thought I was dead. Yurikesh's secondary eyes flickered open. She was listening. I hit the water, went under, thought I was drowning. But then I surfaced, and my father was diving in after me, and I remember thinking, he's going to be so mad. Mad? Humans process fear as anger sometimes. He pulled me onto the bank and yelled at me for 10 minutes about watching where I walked. Then he hugged me so tight I couldn't breathe. I felt the memory's warmth push back against her pain just slightly. Later I realized he wasn't mad. He was terrified. But he didn't know how else to show it. Why are you telling me this? Her thoughts came through clearer now, riding the strengthening bond. Because you asked me once what it feels like to be human. This is it. We're messy and contradictory, and we show love through anger, and we fall off cliffs and expect the people who care about us to jump in after.
I know.
But I jumped anyway. I squeezed her hand through another wave of cellular rejection. The monitors screamed warnings. Attendants rushed forward. Stay with me, Urikesh. Stay. Her consciousness wavered. I felt her slipping, the pain too much, her body trying to shut down rather than endure. In desperation, I pulled up every good memory I had. My mother's laugh. My first day at the academy. The moment I'd seen Earth from orbit and understood how small and precious we were. And Kessa. God, Kessa. 6 hours of connection distilled into pure, concentrated feeling. I threw it all at Urikesh like a lifeline. Live. Please live. Your hope and twilight in the sun isn't up yet. You don't get to die before dawn. Her consciousness grabbed onto mine. Held. The pain remained, but she bore it, and I bore it with her, and the monitors stabilized. The Queen's hand gripped my shoulder. I hadn't heard her approach. That was close. How many more rejections can she survive? Unknown. Her body is accepting more than we predicted, but the cellular integration is slower than we hoped. At this rate, she didn't finish. I knew what she meant. 72 hours might not be enough. Then we work faster. You cannot force cellular bonding. You can only maintain the emotional resonance and trust the process. Then I'll maintain it. I looked at Urikesh's face, pale and drawn, her eyes closed again. I won't let her go. The Queen's grip tightened. You're bonding deeper than I anticipated. That's good for the procedure. But Guardian Revan, when this is over, you'll carry a piece of her forever. Are you prepared for that? Honestly, I didn't know. The bond with Urikesh was nothing like what I felt for Kessa. It was necessity and compassion and shared suffering. It was watching someone fight for every breath and choosing to fight beside them. Was that love? Maybe not the romantic kind, but it was real. I'll manage, I said. The Queen left us alone. The attendants dimmed the lights. Urikesh slept fitfully and I stayed awake, monitoring her presence in my mind, terrified that if I slept, she'd slip away. Around hour 24, she woke. Her eyes opened. All 4 of them, clearer than they'd been in days. You're still here, she said aloud. Her voice was stronger. Where else would I be? The pain becomes too much. I made a promise. To my mother. Not to me. She turned her head to look at me fully. Why haven't you asked about her? About Kessa? But now that she'd mentioned it, I felt the absence like a missing limb. I can't, I said. If I think about her, I'll want to be with her instead of here. And yet you feel everything for her. I can sense it through the bond. The way humans love. Urikesh's eyes gleamed. It's like standing too close to a star, beautiful and terrifying. Do the Zenkara not love? We do, but slowly. Over decades. Our bonds form like crystals, layer by layer, atom by atom, until they're unbreakable. Yours form like explosions. Instantaneous and consuming. She paused. I think I prefer your way, even though it's destroying you right now. The cellular transfer only works because I bonded with Kessa in 6 hours. My quantum signature is chaos. Yes, and chaos is keeping me alive. She smiled. I'll take it. Another rejection hit. Worse this time. Her back arched, her hand crushing mine, mental screaming that felt like knives in my brain. I rode it out with her, absorbing what I could, staying connected even when every instinct said to flee. When it passed, we were both shaking. Tell me about her, Urikesh whispered. About Kessa. I want to understand what I'm feeling from you. The pain is less when you talk. About seeing Kessa in the briefing room. About the way she'd asked questions with genuine curiosity, like she actually wanted to know me, not just complete a mission. About her smile and the moment I'd crossed sacred ground without thinking because she'd stumbled. 6 hours, Urikesh murmured. You fell in 6 hours. Maybe I started falling the moment I saw her. Maybe it takes humans no time at all. And now you're with me, and she's alone, and you don't know if she'll forgive you for choosing this. That doesn't mean it doesn't hurt her. Urikesh's mental presence wrapped around mine, comforting despite her own agony. When this is over, you should go to her first, before the bond confuses what you feel. Your mother said, I know what my mother said, but what you feel for Kessa is yours. What you feel for me is necessity dressed as emotion. Don't confuse the two. I wanted to argue. Wanted to say that what I felt for her was real too, in its own way. But she was right. I cared about Yurikesh. Desperately wanted her to live, but I didn't love her the way I was falling for Kessa. The bond was working because I cared enough. Because compassion and genuine affection were enough to create the resonance needed for cellular transfer. But it wasn't romantic love. It was something else. Something equally real but fundamentally different. I'm sorry, I said. For what? For not loving you the way you deserve. Yurikesh laughed. Actually laughed. The sound weak but genuine. Guardian Revan, I don't want your romantic love. I want to live. You're giving me that. It's enough. Hour 36 brought the worst rejection yet. Yurikesh's body tried to shut down completely. The attendants swarmed the bed, injecting compounds that burned through the bond like fire. I felt her dying, really dying, her consciousness fracturing. I did the only thing I could think of. I pulled Kessa into my mind. Every moment, every smile. The electric touch of her hand. The way she looked at me in the throne chamber. I took that overwhelming, all-consuming feeling, and I gave it to Yurikesh. Not to replace what I felt for Kessa, but to show Yurikesh what life could feel like. What was waiting for her if she survived? This is what you're fighting for. Not just existence, but the possibility of feeling this for someone yourself someday. Connection, joy, love. Yurikesh's consciousness seized the feeling, held it like a drowning person clutching a rope. The monitors stabilized. Her body accepted another wave of cellular integration. The crisis passed. The Queen appeared beside the bed, her expression unreadable. What did you do? The quantum resonance just tripled. I showed her what she's missing, I said. The Queen looked at her daughter, then at me. You're bonding deeper than anyone predicted. At this rate, the separation will be traumatic for both of you. Right now, she needs to live. Yes, the Queen's voice held something like wonder. Yes, she does. And you might actually save her. Yurikesh was stronger now, the cellular acceptance rate climbing. We talked more, her questions about humanity endless, my answers as honest as I could make them. She wanted to know everything. What we ate, how we loved, why we cried, what made us laugh. I told her about Earth's oceans.
About music.
About the way humans danced, not for ceremony, but for joy. About my sister's wedding where everyone got drunk and no one could walk straight, but we danced anyway because the moment was perfect. I want to dance, Yurikesh said wistfully. Then live and I'll teach you. Promise? Promise? Hour 60? The bond was solid now, unshakable. I felt Yurikesh as clearly as I felt myself, her hope growing, her pain receding. The cellular integration was working. Actually working. The monitors showed green across the board. The Queen entered the chamber with tears in her 4 eyes. She's going to survive. I should have felt triumph, relief. Instead, I felt terror. Because in 12 hours, I'd have to leave this bed. Leave Yurikesh. Face Kessa with a permanent bond to another woman in my head, and I had no idea what happened next. Yurikesh's presence in my mind was warm and steady. You'll be fine. You're human. You fall hard and you recover hard and you love impossibly. You'll figure it out. I hope she was right. Hour 72 arrived like a death sentence. The attendants removed the monitoring devices. The Queen helped Yurikesh sit up. She moved easily now, her skin lustrous again, her eyes bright. Alive. Fully alive. I stood on shaking legs. The bond remained, a constant presence in my mind, but the intensity had faded to something manageable. I could feel her joy. Her gratitude. Her affection for me deep and real and permanent. Thank you, she said simply. I nodded, not trusting my voice. The Queen embraced me, an unprecedented gesture for a Jankara monarch. You saved my daughter. Humanity has my eternal friendship. I just did what anyone would do. No, the Queen said firmly. You did what only a human could do. You loved impossibly, and it saved a life.
Never forget that. Ah! She released me.
Gestured to the door. Your diplomat has been waiting. She hasn't left the palace in 3 days. My heart lurched. Kessa. I'd been so focused on Yurikesh that I'd barely thought about her. Now with the bond stabilized, everything I felt for Kessa came flooding back, stronger than ever. 3 days hadn't dimmed it. If anything, the intensity had grown. I looked at Yurikesh one last time. She smiled. Go. Find her. Love her the way you showed me love could be. I ran through crystal corridors, past startled courtiers, out into the palace gardens where Kessa sat on a bench beneath alien stars, head in her hands. She looked up when she heard my footsteps, rose slowly. We stared at each other across 3 meters of space. You did it, she said. The Queen sent word. Arakash is alive. Yes. And the bond? Permanent. I'll feel her for the rest of my life. I see. Kessa, it's not. I know what it's not. She wrapped her arms around herself. I'm glad, really. But I can't. She stopped, started again. I can't be with someone who's permanently connected to someone else. I'm not built for that. I'm sorry. 3 days. 3 days and I'd lost her. I don't love her the way I'm falling for you, I said desperately. The bond is different. But it's still there. Always there. And I can't live with that. I won't ask you to change it, but I can't do this. Tears streamed down her face. I'm sorry, Jace. I'm so sorry. She turned to walk away, and something in me broke. The same instinct that had made me cross sacred ground, that had sustained me through 72 hours of agony, that made me human and reckless and impossible. I ran after her, caught her hand, pulled her back. Wait! I held on. I fell for you in 6 hours, I said. I saved Irakash because you told me to try, because you believed I could love impossibly, and you were right. But Kessa, listen to me. The bond with Irakash is permanent. I'll always feel her presence, but what I feel for you is mine. It's not shared, it's not diminished by what I did to save her life. It's mine and it's yours and it's ours. How can you know that? How can you separate what you feel for her from what you feel for me when you're permanently connected? 'Cause she's in my head right now, I said, and she's telling me to fight for you. 'Cause what we have is worth fighting for. Because humans love impossibly, and that's not a weakness, Kessa. It's our greatest strength. Looked at me with red, swollen eyes. She's telling you that? Right now? She wants me to be happy. And I can't be happy without you. Silence stretched between us. Then, incredibly, Kessa laughed. A broken, desperate sound. This is insane. All of this. We met 6 hours before you saved an alien princess's life using the emotional connection we formed. And now I'm supposed to just accept that you have her in your head forever? Yes, I said simply, because the alternative is losing you, and I can't do that. Won't do that. Kessa closed her eyes. I felt her trembling. When she opened them again, something had shifted. I fell for you too. In 6 hours. And I spent 3 days terrified I'd lost you, that you'd bonded with her so deeply there'd be nothing left for me. There's everything left for you. Kessa, you're not sharing me with Irakash. The bond is different. What I feel for you is different. Please believe me. Raised a hand to my face. I want to. God, I want to. Take a chance on impossible. On reckless. On falling in 6 hours and believing it's real. If this blows up in our faces, then we'll deal with it together. Like humans do. Messily and imperfectly and completely pulled me down and kissed me. And the bond with Irakash flared warm and approving in my mind, her joy at my happiness clear and unconflicted. When we broke apart, Kessa was smiling through her tears. I'm still terrified. Me too. If you are. I crossed sacred ground for you after 6 hours. I think I'm willing to try anything. We stood there beneath alien stars, holding each other, and in my mind I felt Irakash's presence settle into something comfortable and distant. Still there. Still real, but separate from this moment. From what Kessa and I were building. The Queen appeared at the garden entrance, Irakash beside her, walking without assistance for the first time in years. They watched us with alien eyes that saw more than we could hide. The treaty negotiations can proceed, the Queen said formally. Humanity has proven itself worthy of alliance. I barely heard her. I was looking at Kessa, seeing our future in her amber eyes. Impossible, reckless, real. Thank you, Irakash said quietly, her mental voice and spoken voice overlapping. For everything. I nodded, kept holding Kessa's hand. The Queen smiled, that alien expression of joy and approval and understanding. Love impossibly, Guardian Revan. It seems to be humanity's gift. Use it well. Then she and Irikesh withdrew, leaving Kessa and me alone beneath stars neither of us recognized, starting something neither of us understood, believing in it anyway because that's what humans did. We fell impossible, and we fell hard, and we fell knowing it might destroy us. But we fell anyway. And the alien queen who'd seen it all smiled, recognizing in our recklessness something her people had lost, something worth preserving, something that had saved her daughter and might just save us all. Hope and twilight. Dawn waiting just beyond the horizon. We fell, and in falling, we chose to believe the sun would rise. It was the most human thing we could do,